we all depressed because we don't know what we're doing with our lives? Hello babies, and welcome to another episode of me trying to convince you to read more books. In today's episode we have my favorite book. A book that literally altered my brain chemistry. And I know the internet is full of videos of people saying, this book will change your life, but this book will change your life. Because I've always had a huge curiosity towards psychology and disturbing times of history. And when I found out there was a book about a psychologist in concentration camps, I was thrilled, to say the least. And when I found out it was about 150 pages, I was even happier. So much so that I finished it in one day. Just like... I probably should not put that on a video in the internet. You know that smoking and rates in camps were extremely low, and you may think it was because they didn't have the equipment to execute what they wanted to, or to smoke, because there were no cigarettes. But cigarettes became some sort of currency. And because it was seen as an asset, smoking used to be perceived as someone giving up on their lives. Because why would you smoke if instead you could exchange the cigarette for, I don't know, a piece of bread? Moldy bread. But anyway. Therefore, a smoking prisoner would be seen as a coward, and honestly, even in that situation, people didn't want to be seen as a coward. We're all wired to crave everyone's validation, especially the ones of our group. If everything they saw was a crappy situation, like everything they saw was death and torture, why the hell did they still have hope? And that's what we'll learn in this video, so buckle up, baby. As always, this is not a summary of the book. There are plenty of those on the internet, and I just want to give my take and spark a conversation. Today's protagonist, Viktor Frankl.
Viktor Frankl. Frankly, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Anyway, had always wanted to be a psychologist, and had always wondered which was the meaning of life. He was one of those kids who always asked questions in class, which makes him part of our club, isn't it? And he was lucky, which was paradoxically a weird theme in his life. But anyway, he lived in Vienna in the 20th century, well, early 20th century, which meant that he could befriend the OG motherfucker and a guy who would have loved the 48 Laws of Power. So yeah, I'm talking about Freud and Adler, which were the fathers of psychology. As a smart and curious person, he learned from them. But then he said, no, I'm making my own way of thinking. He rejected the ideals Freud had with what drives us is sex. And Adler was like, what drives us is power and insecurity. And he was like, you know what? I've been robbed of all those things, and the only thing that kept me alive was having a reason to wake up in the morning. So he decided to develop his logotherapy, which is a nice way to say, hey, stop trauma dumping on me, okay? I am gonna help you achieve your goals by finding a goal, but don't tell me your trauma, please. I'm fed up. Ooh, something curious about him was that before he was deported by the Nazis, he had a chance to flee to America. But by leaving and going to America, he had to leave his family, and he didn't want that. He was a sensible, family-loving person, so he decided to stay with his family. And then they got deported like 5 days later, and their togetherness lasted like 3 days. Now I'm going to talk about his branding, because a really important thing was leveraging his trauma throughout the Holocaust to back up his psychological theory, which, hey, it's amazing. He became his own witness. And it helped a lot, because who would question a man who had been through the Holocaust on how to overcome shitty things that happened to you? How can this be applied to us? Like, why do I need to read A Man's Search for Meaning? Like, to find meaning. But why do I need to find meaning? The author states that the people get depressed and feel the existential void because they are bored. He mentions that this existential void comes from the absence of hardship and challenge and a sense of meaning, a reason to wake up each and every morning. When life becomes a meaningless sequence of actions, our brain can't help it but to drive us into a downward spiral of boredom and emptiness. Living without a meaning makes life harder because you don't have a reason why to wake up every morning. That's why we've all snoozed our alarms. Therefore, when we face a setback, in this case, the warm, getting up in the morning is shit. It's cold, it's awful. The sheets are like amazing. You don't want to wake up. And because you don't have meaning, the distraction of snoozing the alarm will win because there's no sense of purpose within you that will make you wake up. Just think about it. How many times do you doom scroll or procrastinate just because you don't know why we do what we do? For Viktor, this laziness comes from a lack of direction, a lack of a why. With a meaning, resilience to challenges just comes naturally. And when we have a sense of purpose and we're faced with a roadblock, our sense of purpose starts to shine and it starts to make us more tolerant to stress. Think about it. You still have to wake up every morning. The challenge itself hasn't changed. It's the same, with or without meaning. You have to get up every day. But if you have an exciting reason why to wake up, you're not going to snooze the alarm. He just shifts the way we view the obstacle. And that's why for him, humans don't thrive in the absence of stress, but rather in the existence of purpose. Viktor expresses his concern for younger generations because he thinks that we have everything we need. We're given almost everything we want, and also we're told that pain is bad. So when facing a setback, we're like, what the actual crap? This is not okay. Thinking that pain is a sign that something's really wrong within us, it's doing us a huge disservice because we can't avoid pain, but we can avoid a bad relationship with it. Frankl, through his experience, shows us how we can see the little obstacles in our way to just use them as stones to climb our way to the top of the mountain. Because we all know that life's not going to be easy. But if you've always been not challenged and told that pain is bad and have no purpose, you're going to just get depressed. And that is, I believe, it's 100% true. We should all learn how to find a greater meaning and to accept that pain is part of our lives. Once you accept that pain's part of your life and you find something that you truly want to achieve in your life, you know that the path to getting it is not going to be easy, but you have something inside of you that's fueling you to achieve your goals. It's a faith, but one that you have with yourself. Because if you know the why of your existence, you're willing to put up with almost anyhow. Well, you guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video and I highly advise you to read the book. It's life-changing. Comment down below which is your meaning, or if you ever found it, or if you've realized that maybe you're not at your prime because you haven't found meaning. So yeah, hope you have a nice week.